Good morning. Yeah, it is January the 3rd, 2025. This morning we are looking in 1 Samuel chapter 5, verses 3 and 4. So 1 Samuel chapter 5, verses 3 and 4. I'm reading from the English Standard Version today. So let's, if we would, grab our Bibles and get your coffee and let's get started, okay? It says, "And when the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, behold, Dagon had fallen face downward on the ground before the ark of the Lord. So they took Dagon and put him back in his place. But when they rose early on the next morning, behold, Dagon had fallen face downward on the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both his hands were lying cut off on the threshold. Only the trunk of Dagon was left to him." Well, that's an exciting story, isn't it? Well, let's jump in here because, the Philistines' god Dagon suffers a humiliating defeat before the ark of God. The first morning after the ark's arrival, Dagon is found fallen face down before the ark, a clear sign of his defeat. Now, the Philistines, unable to recognize the power of the true God, set their idol back in its place, but the next day, Dagon has fallen again, and this time with his head and his hands broken off. Now, the desecration of Dagon is a dramatic display of God's authority over all idols. What the Philistines had intended to be a show of power over Israel's God became a vivid demonstration that no false god can stand in the presence of a true God, the true God. See, the idol, once thought to be mighty, is now utterly powerless, reduced to a broken trunk with no head and no hands. Now, this passage is not only a judgment on the false god Dagon, but also a stark reminder of the futility of idolatry. The Philistines' actions in placing the ark next to Dagon were an attempt to compare the God of Israel to their false deity. However, in the confrontation between Dagon and the true God, it is clear that Dagon is nothing. The true God will not share his glory with anyone or anything, and the breaking of Dagon's body represents the utter impotence of all idols, whether they are physical statues or even things that we elevate above God in our own hearts. You see, the world may worship many things, but none of them can withstand the might of the one true God. Now, the defeat of Dagon serves as a powerful reminder for us today to examine the idols that are in our own lives. And while we may not bow down to physical statues, there are often other things, money, success, relationships, even our own desires that sometimes take the place of God in our hearts. We are warned that no idol can stand against the holiness and the sovereignty of God. The only the only proper response here is to place God first in our lives, acknowledging his greatness and turning away from anything that might compete with his rightful position. Are there any idols in your life that have taken God's place? Now, while we may not have physical idols like Dagon, we can still struggle with elevating things above God. So take a moment to reflect on your life today. What do you value most? What occupies your time and energy? And ask God to reveal anything that may be taking his rightful place in your heart. And pray for the strength to remove these distractions and to put him at the center of your life, trusting that when God is first, everything else falls into its rightful place. Now that's a good word for the day. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Take care.